Okay, we're going to solve for x by moving the 3 over by subtracting it from each side. So x is going to be equal to 8 minus 3, or just 5. Here we're going to solve for x by moving that by adding that to each side. So x is equal to 11. Here we want to get rid of the 2. It's being multiplied, so we do the opposite and divide by 2. And 20 divided by 2 is 10. Here I can get rid of the fraction by multiplying by the reciprocal. I'll give myself some room here. If I multiply it by 4 over 1 on each side, here these cancel, so we get x is equal to 20. I want to start by isolating this term, so I'm going to move this by subtracting 2. And I'll get 3x is equal to 9. And then I'll divide by 3, and I'll get x is equal to 3. Here I want to get rid of, I want to isolate this by moving this, so I'll move that by adding 3 to each side. And then I'll divide out the 4, so we'll get x is equal to 6. There's more than one way to do this, but I'm just going to isolate this term to start by moving this over, so we'll add 2 to each side. And we'll get 2/5 x is equal to 4 plus 2, which is 6. And then I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of 2/5 to each side. And remember, this is like a 6 over 1. So when nothing cancels. What did I just do? I have to do a 5 over 2, sorry. On both sides. So here 2 goes into this once and into this 3 times, and I multiply 3 times 5 to get 15. So x is equal to 15 over 1, which is just 15. I'm going to start by getting rid of these parentheses. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute this 3, and I'll get 3x plus 6. And then I have the plus 5. And then I'm going to combine these by adding them up. And I'm going to move this 8 to the right by the 11 to the right by subtracting 11 from each side. And I'm going to get 3x is equal to 8 minus 11 is negative 3. And then I'll divide by 3 on each side, and I'll get x is equal to negative 1. Here I'm going to start by getting rid of my parentheses, so I'll distribute the 4, and I'll get 4x plus 4, and then I have that plus 2. And I'll distribute this 2, and we'll get 2x minus 4 plus 4. Combining like terms, the 4 and the 2 add together to give me a positive 6. These add together to give me a 0, so they go away. Now, I'm going to move this way by subtracting that from each side, and I'll move this way by subtracting this from each side. And we're going to get 4x minus 2x is 2x. The 6's go away. The 2x's go away. We have negative 6. And then I'll divide by 2 on each side, and we'll get x is equal to negative 3. I'm going to get rid of the parentheses by distributing the 5, and we'll get 5x plus 10. Now when we get rid of these, I'm not just distributing the 3, I'm distributing the negative along with it. So when I distribute the negative and the 3, I get negative 3x minus 3. Combining like terms, this and this combine to give me 2x, and this combine to give me a positive 7. Now I'm going to move this over by subtracting it. And we're going to get 2x is equal to 6 minus 7 is negative 1. And we'll divide by 2. So we'll get x is equal to negative 1/2. Okay, here I'm solving for x, so I'm going to divide each side by 4. And we're going to get x is equal to 3y over 4. You could have also written this 3/4 y. What you can't do is go like this, because that's 3 over 4y, so that doesn't work. I'm going to try and get this term alone, so I need to move this term. And remember, when you move a term across equals, it simply flips signs. So x is equal to 2c plus 5y. This went from a negative 5y on the left to a positive on the right. isolate this term, so I'm going to move this and this. And remember, when you move a term across the equals, it flips sign. So x is equal to the 4a. I'm going to have a plus 3a and a minus 2b. But these are like terms, and they combine and give us 7a. So x is 7a minus 2b. The first thing I'm going to do here is get rid of my parentheses. So I'll distribute this, and I'll get 2f is equal to 3ax minus 15ab. Now, I'm after this term right here, so I want to move this term. And if this is negative on this side, when I move it, it becomes positive on this side. So I have a 2f plus a 15ab. And if I'm solving for x, I got to divide out the 3a. So my final answer is x is equal to 2f plus 15ab all over 3a. Now be careful. I cannot cancel these a's because I can't cancel here. You have to be able to cancel everywhere if you cancel. So, and I can't cancel the 3 and the 15 because I can't cancel there. So this is simplified. Okay, I'm going to leave this alone, and I'm going to move this by adding it to each side. So I'll have 1/4 x is equal to 2 plus 3, which is 5. And then I'll multiply each side by 4. This will cancel, and we'll get x is equal to 5 times 4 is 20. I want my 5x alone, so I got to isolate this. So I'm going to start by moving this. And if this is negative on the left, when I move it over, it becomes positive. So I have 5x is equal to 2c plus 3y. And then I'll divide each side by 5. So I get x is equal to 2c plus 3y all over 5. I'm going to rewrite this to give me a little more room. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is negative 3/2. And I'll do that on both sides. And then on the left, this all cancels, so I have positive x is equal to, on the right, remember this is like an over 1. So 2 goes into 8 4 times, and I multiply a positive times a negative to give me a negative, and 4 times 3 is 12, and 1 times 1 is 1, but never write something over 1. This is just negative 12. So this is the term I'm after. So I'm going to isolate this term, and I'm going to move this over. If this is positive on the left, when I move it over, it's negative. So I have 3x is equal to 10 minus 4y. And then I'll divide out the 3. And I'll get x is equal to 10 minus 4y over 3. If you put negative 4y plus 10 over 3, that would have been okay too. These are the same answer. It's starting to get a little confusing here, so I'm going to use my roadmap. My roadmap is parentheses, fractions, simplify, isolate, divide. And I'm going to get rid of my parentheses by distributing this. And remember, these are like over 1. Okay, so I have 2a is equal to, and what I have here is a 3 times x times 5 times c. When we multiply all that, I get 15xc, or cx, it doesn't matter which, over 4 times 1 is 4. That's the first fraction. And then I'm going to take this and multiply by this, so I'll have 3 times x times negative 2 times d, so I'm going to get a negative 6xd all over, and on the bottom I have 4 times 1 is 4. So again, when you're multiplying, you multiply everything. This is like over, the x is like over 1. So you multiply everything on the top of the fraction and get the new top, and everything on the bottom of the fraction, 4 times 1 is 4. This x is like in the top of the fraction because it's like an x over 1. Same thing over here. I went 3 times x times negative 2 times d, which is a negative 6xd. On the bottom, I have 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, so that was my parentheses. Now the fractions. I'm going to multiply each one of these terms by 4. So I'll get 8a equals, when I multiply this by 4, the 4's cancel. Same thing here. So that's the fractions. I can't simplify because I don't have like terms, so I just skip that step. And then isolate, well, x is showing up in multiple terms, so I'm going to factor it out. And now it's isolated, and now I'm going to divide. So I'll divide each side by the stuff that's not the x. So my final answer is 8a over 15c minus 8d, or 6d. Now be careful. I cannot cancel the 2 out because there's no 2 to here to cancel. I can't cancel those 2's. And so be careful. This is your final simplified answer. On this problem, we're going to try and isolate, because this is negative, here's what I'll do. I'm going to move, I like this to be positive. So I'm going to move this way, and that means I have to move this way. So when I move this negative 3x to the right, it becomes a positive 3x over here. I'm not moving these, so those stay the same, but I'm moving this. So I'm going to, on the left, I'll have a negative, let's give me some room. Negative 7b minus 5y plus 4c. And then I'll divide each side by 3. So I'm going to get x is equal to negative 7b, I'll put it in alphabetical order, plus 4c minus 5y all over 3. Technically, these terms can be in any order. The way I would do number 21 is I'd first decide the sign of the answer. A negative times a negative is a positive. Now when I do the multiplication, I'm going to forget about the signs. So this is a 5/8. I'll change it to a multiplication by flipping this upside down. And then I'm going to cancel. 5 goes into 5 once, into 15 3 times. 8 goes into 8 once, into 24 3 times. And finally, these 3's can cancel. 3 goes into 3 once and into 3 once. So I have 1 over 1, which is just 1. The order of operations, PEMDAS, remember that multiplication and division go left to right. So these are tied together. So I have to do the division before I do the multiplication because they have the same level of priority, and you do it whatever comes first, left to right. So 40 divided by 10 is 4, and I get an 8. Careful, the most common mistake is somebody's going to do this first, the 10 times the 2 first to get 20, and 40 divided by 20 is 2, but they got the wrong answer because they did it out of order. I'm going to get rid of this double sign, so I have negative 17 minus 8. The signs match, so I add and get 25, and I keep the sign of the bigger number. Because of the negative is in the parentheses, if you were to expand this, it would expand like this. So this is a positive 100. Now be careful, if I did this, this is equal to negative 100 because this expands like this. So you got to be really careful looking at the parentheses when the exponent is even. 0, when 0 is on top of a fraction, it's 0. If the 0 were on the bottom of the fraction, this would be undefined. Here we have 6 minus 9 is negative 3. But this turns into a positive 3. And then we tack on the negative, so we get negative 3.